Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the City of Muskegon City Commission meeting for April 23rd, 2013. Before the meeting, we'll be led in a short prayer by Mr. George Monroe, followed by our Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Monroe.
Shall we pray? Our dear Heavenly Father, first of all, we thank you for the country we have, Lord, and the freedom that we have here, Lord. Lord, we thank you for our mayor and our manager and our commissioners, Lord, that you protect them at all times, Lord, and be with them that they would make the right decisions in some of these items that come up. We'll give you all the praise in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Monroe. Can we have the roll call, please?
Mayor Gowron,
Here.
Commissioner Hood,
Here.
Vice Mayor Spataro,
Here.
Commissioner German,
Here.
Commissioner Waringo, here. Commissioner Turnquist,
Here.
Commissioner Markowski. Here.
Thank you. We have some honors and awards. I'm going to switch places.
Should have been glad to have a different face.
Each year, we recognize outstanding citizenship amongst us and our neighbors and our friends. And this year, we want to congratulate three recipients of the 2012 Outstanding Citizenship Award: Bob Skolnick, Bonnie Witt, and Pastor Samuel Greer. Could I have Bob and Bonnie? Is Pastor Greer, are you here yet? If not, well,
I'll step up for him.
will you? Okay, come on up, Chief.
He's our social justice police.
I have you come right over this way. So we can get everybody on camera.
Have a face in the camera. There you go.
Now, ladies first. Bonnie Witt, right here. Say hi, Bonnie. Hi. Bonnie Witt served as a special education teacher most of her life, is a current member of the Women's Division of the Chamber of Commerce, and has been the Beechwood Bluffton Neighborhood Association president or co-president for more than 30 years. Her passion and love for the community shows through the many activities and initiatives she has spearheaded in the neighborhood. Bonnie has organized many teen dances, coordinated fundraisers to place a basketball court at the park, oversees the Winterfest at Beechwood Park, and created Go Garbage Go, a neighborhood-wide cleanup day. She also produces a neighborhood newsletter, coordinates the door-to-door delivery of the newsletter, and organizes the annual neighborhood picnic. When the city eliminated recycling, Bonnie took it upon herself to lead a drive in the neighborhood to get residents of the neighborhood to sign for a self-paid subscription service, and she continues to push recycling efforts throughout the neighborhood. And I have to say that that initiative went citywide, and you know, those of us that continue in the recycling program certainly appreciate that initiative, Bonnie. This list represents only a small portion of what Bonnie has done for the Beechwood Bluffton neighborhood over the years, and her dedication to the neighborhood and the city are to be commended. Thank you very much, Bonnie. Down in front, you behave. Okay, good. Then don't behave. Did you want to say anything to the folks?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm actually a speech pathologist, so you can't shut me up. You should not have me up here. But I have not done this alone. I moved to the Beechwood area in the late 70s, and at that time we weren't so environmentally friendly as we are now. And that is why I started our organization, because at that time, believe it or not, our water levels were so high that tree trunks and tree stumps and big pieces of concrete from broken up roads were being thrown into the lake so they wouldn't wash out the road. And I think some of you probably remember that. And that's when I said, we have to form a coalition, we have to form something. And that's how Beechwood Bluffton Neighborhood Association got started. And Chris Jensen and I and some other neighbors got together and started organizing what we call Go Garbage Go, and that was before the dumpster days. And anyway, and the story goes on, and I won't go on and on about this, but the whole city of Muskegon is a wonderful place to live, and I just wanted to see it even better. So thanks to everyone for making this an awesome city that it is.
Bob Skolnick. Yay, Bob. Don't behave. I love you. Bob Skolnick is a county commissioner. He has served as chairman and a major financial contributor of Visiting Nurses, is a lead donor for the Skolnick House of the Depression era, past campaign chair for the new United Way Human Services Center on Clay Avenue, and serves on many other boards, too numerous to list. He's produced several fundraising concerts at the Frohnthal for various local nonprofit organizations, raising over $100,000 for United Way, the Red Cross, and the Child Abuse Council. In 2012, Bob learned that the community would be without fireworks on the 4th of July. He started a social media campaign to preserve the 4th of July fireworks by rallying the community to raise the needed funding to arrange a spectacular show in less than 6 weeks' time. His efforts did not go unnoticed as the Community Foundation offered a match up to $10,000. Bob also sought and received the assistance of other organizations such as the Fruitport and Muskegon Lions Club and the Muskegon Rotary. Bob was driven to offer Muskegon a safe and spectacular fireworks display, and he did not disappoint. He is a persistent individual who takes negatives and turns them into positives. He believes in Muskegon, in the people of Muskegon, and the people of Muskegon are certainly richer for you and your beautiful bride and for all the work you do for us. Thank you, Bob.
No good deed goes unpunished. And I have taken my share of beatings for some of the things I've tried to do. But this is so cool because I think most people know, I live in Norton Shores. I don't live in the city of Muskegon, and this is fantastic. Most of my efforts over the years have been centered around downtown Muskegon, which in spite of the fact where I live, it doesn't make any difference to me. I see it as one community, but you know, like the Visiting Nurse building that you mentioned when they bought the Hages building, you know, there's more to that than many people know. Part of it was about keeping that whole business downtown and trying to anchor that end of the city, the downtown, to revitalize it. The Skolnick House was the same thing, and the United Way Service Center, which is a fantastic facility, was yet another. But I'm really happy that some of these things are happening before I'm dead, and they do it at my funeral. So I want to thank you for the honor, and it's really cool, and I really appreciate it. So, Mayor, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Oh, one last thing. I have to mention, my friend Vicki Brogy is here, and she's the one. I sat next to her on the Norton Shores City Council for about 10 years, and we've been friends for a long time, and she's the one who really did the nomination. So anyway, I have to give some credit to Vicki. So thank you all.
We next want to recognize Pastor Samuel Greer, who has served as pastor of the Queen Esther Baptist Church for the past 23 years, as well as serving as president of the General Baptist State Convention of Michigan, consisting of 21 churches, and Dean of Students and faculty member for the Muskegon Christian School System. Pastor Greer is the chair of the Social Justice Commission of Muskegon County that was formed in 2011. The commission includes clergy, law enforcement, prosecutor's office, as well as the school systems, and it was created to address the safety and health of our community with a special focus on our young people. Under his leadership, the commission has organized a gun buyback program, as well as the Operation Safe Days, Quiet Nights. a program addressing truancy and curfew issues. The commission created the Good Buddy Bucks program, and the JAAR Partnerships, which is McDonald's in the area, partnered with the commission to provide certificates for free apple dippers or ice cream. Certificates were provided to police officers to issue to youth who were found displaying good character. It provided the opportunity for positive mentoring contact between youth and police officers. In its first season, approximately 2,000 certificates were issued, aiding in our positive contact with the children of the community. So let's, even in his absence, give Pastor Samuel Greer a sign of our appreciation. Chief Lewis, is there anything you wanted to say on the pastor's behalf?
I did one thing. I serve with the pastor on the Social Justice Commission, and I know he'd like to be here tonight, but I want everyone to know that approximately a week ago, his church suffered a large fire. He has been running around very busy since then. He's tried to meet his commitments. I know he appreciates this recognition, and I said, I work with him. I know he's deserving of this. I wish he could be here tonight and receive it.
Thank you, Chief. And once again, to these individuals and all the individuals of our community that step forward, either in the limelight or quietly, let's keep an eye out for those individuals that touch our lives and give them a hug and a thanks. And thanks for helping make Muskegon a more vibrant community. Thank you so much for showing that there's no borders and we're one people. And thank you, Chief and Pastor Greer, for your work with our youngins and doing our best to, keep them engaged in positive ways. Thanks so much for your hard work. We have introductions and presentation regarding medication disposal.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Laura Fitzpatrick, and I'm with the Muskegon Community Health Project, which is the Community Benefit Department for Mercy Health Partners. I'm also one of the staff to the Muskegon Area Medication Disposal Project that we have. And I just wanted to come here to present just briefly on this program, to tell you what's been the resulting things that we've had come out of this program, and also to say thank you to the City of Muskegon for its leadership and constant support of this program. The reason for the program, there were several reasons for the program. As we know, medications, prescription drugs is an issue, lots of substance abuse going on. We knew that according to a youth survey that was conducted in 2009, over 17% of the youth were trying prescription drugs that were not prescribed to them. Also, we knew from water quality reports from the geological surveys that water was affected by medications and prescription drugs. We had some issues with the federal government. Some federal governments were telling everyone to flush their medications down the toilet. Some systems were telling folks when they lost a deceased relative or were done with their medications to also throw them down the toilet. In fact, some of our own systems within Mercy Health Partners had done that at the time. Another thing that was happening is children were having unintentional poisonings from medications that were around the house. And also we found from our public law enforcement partners that several people were breaking into houses to get at prescription drugs. So in 2009, the Coalition for a Drug-Free Muskegon started talking about this issue and what we could do. We held a first meeting. We called our meeting to order. And typically when we do our meetings, the coalition's been around since 2004, and it has multiple subgroups, and alcohol liability initiatives one, tobacco reduction is another, and the prescription drug was on our radar in 2009 because of our data. Called the meeting to order on September in 2009. 17 people showed up from different areas in Muskegon. The city of Muskegon was the first that walked in the door. We had law enforcement partners. I believe it then was John Baker, who was the key person for neighborhood issues, Sergeant John Baker, who who brought this issue forward, and he's stuck with us ever since. We have multiple partners, Public Works from County of Muskegon. I saw some county commissioners here. The county has been very active, the Sheriff's Department. Multiple cities involved, including Norton Shores and the City of Muskegon and others. And also, we decided on doing a couple of things. The first of all was to get rid of the drugs. So when Bonnie, she's left, I was just thinking of a new slogan for us. Instead of go garbage go, we could do go drugs go. Maybe, I don't know if that'll resonate. You know, Laura, don't come up with ideas in public because it's bad. All right. But what we did is in 2010, we planned for 5 community events. And we did the first one was at the City of Norton Shores. They had the fire station. We decided to put all of them in the fire stations because we wanted to have a drive-through situation where people didn't get out of their cars. There wouldn't create any issues of safety. Also, we had to have law enforcement support because of the fact that the DEA's monitored these events. We were collecting controlled substances. And so when we collect controlled substance, according to the DEA, you must have law enforcement present. So we thought, okay, fire stations, they're closed, no one can get in. They're nice portals of entry, you can drive right through. It's protected by the weather, and also we have law enforcement there at our events. One of the things we were so unique, many communities and collaboratives throughout the country have been doing take-back events, but what we wanted to do is change the systems, the environment, and possible policy. And we knew we had to do a couple of things beyond just collecting the stuff. We counted it. We counted and classified everything we collected in that first 2 years. So before you see some materials. We have some program statistics to date. We've done 11 public events since 2012, or 2010. We've had over 256 volunteers participate. Commissioner Skolnick attended, and actually I almost had him stomping down the drugs in one of the barrels because you come in through the fire department, we ask you to turn off your car, you fill out a form, and then you just hand in your drugs. And the first one at Norton Shores, it blew us away. We collected 500 pounds of medication in that first event. We also, when we counted it, we realized at that time about 50 pounds was controlled or unknown substances. So 50 pounds. Can you imagine the street value of that? But also to get it out of drugs. We were surprised at the number of participants that came through. Most of them were seniors, as approximately 85% of the folks who participate in the one-day event are seniors. As a matter of fact, one of the ladies who came through, she was a lovely lady. She was about 80, I imagine about 85 years old. And she came through and I said, ma'am, thank you so much for bringing your medications in. And she said, oh, thanks. And I said, my goodness, this is a huge box. How long have you had this? She said, well, these were my mom's. And I looked at her and I'm like, your mother's. Is she still with us, honey? And she said, oh, no, she's been gone for 28 years. 28 years this woman had kept her medications because she didn't know how to properly dispose of it. You know, we gladly took it. But also, we understood by collecting the materials and classifying them, we could actually change the source. We could tell physicians, we could tell health plans, we could tell all these, your prescribing practices are creating a detrimental effect to our environment. So what we did, in your materials you'll see some pictures, but on the second page, you see the number of tabs. In 2010, 2011, we counted 809,000 tabs. And you can see about 30%, 29% was over-the-counter medications, you know, cough syrups, Tylenol medications, things that had expired. But we also knew that we were having cardiovascular medications made up of about, I think we have 14% on this, and diabetes medications made up about 7%. But since then, since we've counted and classified, we've been able to go to our physicians. We've done 2 physician education sessions. We've had over 50 physicians at each one. We've talked to them about their prescribing practices and suggested changes. So we've done that. Also, Blue Cross Blue Shield, a payer, has also changed their prescribing practices as a custom upon initial therapies. For us, that was exciting because we hoped we were able to challenge their prescribing practices. Just through an education of the things that were happening locally. That's what makes exciting about when you do an initiative that's local, you can create change that's systematic or environmental impact throughout other communities. And we think this program has done just that. Some of the things that the City of Muskegon has done, to help expand and grow the program, as we have created boxes. I don't know, I think you have one out here or by your police station, chief, over there. I have to, the unique story about the city of Muskegon is that we knew we wanted to do these boxes. We checked with vendors around the area, and they were about $675 each. John Baker, he came up and he said, no, we're not going to do that. I can get a manufacturing company here locally to create the boxes. John Baker and Captain Poulin from the Sheriff's Department came up with the schematics of the design, and we went and they did this medication disposal at a local foundry. Not only did an initiative in Muskegon, prevent drug use and environmental change and protect our families, we created jobs. That was really exciting for us. So kudos to the city of Muskegon for its leadership. At the tables, the city of Muskegon has always been there, and they always now, we hope, host our 2 events. We've gone from 5 events, now we're just doing 2. Our inaugural event is coming up, and we have it this Saturday from 10 to 2. And if anyone's come to the event, or if you would like to have we'll show you around what we do, please come. Also, we're looking for volunteers, so any commissioners who'd like to work the line and collect drugs, come on, go drugs, go. We can't. All right. Larry, maybe you want to, Commissioner Spataro. Well, we're all looking at anyone in the audience if you'd like to volunteer. Volunteer check-in is at 9:30. You'll get a lovely orange T-shirt and you'll work the lines. Actually, 2 of the city of Muskegon's employees come. We have a great time, and it's one of the funnest events I've ever attended. A couple of other things you should know is that we have a billboard campaign. If you've seen that out there, don't trash or flush your meds. And also we have, for kids' sakes, properly dispose your medication. But I just wanted to say thank you to the city of Muskegon. Thank you for the commissioners. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Brian and Chief, for letting us participate with you in making this a very fantastic and successful event. Oh, and the things you should know, to date, we've collected 5 tons of medication, over 1,100 pounds of controlled substances. You can take that to the bank. Well, actually, we don't take that to the bank. We take it to the incinerator in Grand Rapids. But here, we've made that kind of impact with your leadership, and I want to say thank you. Are there any questions?
Laura, thank you very much for your hard work, and it's an honor to be able to partner in such an essential program.
Oh, we appreciate it.
And I think we certainly appreciate it a bit more just because where we live.
Yes.
And finding out that stuff was going in the water, but also the unauthorized or illicit use of these drugs. It's a horrendous issue, and in my 26 years with the Department of Corrections, I see the horrible effects on individuals and families. So
Yes.
anything that we can continue to do to abate these issues and deal with them successfully, we'll continue to do our best in partnering with you.
Well, we thank you. We thought you should know it. It's one of the best kept secrets, but we couldn't do this without the city of Muskegon, and thank you so much. And have a good night.
Thank you. Thank you. Can we have the consent agenda, please?
Approval of minutes, City Clerk, summary request. To approve minutes of the April 8th Commission Work Session Meeting and the April 9th City Commission Meeting. Staff recommendation, approval of the minutes. J Board's concession contract for City of Muskegon Parks, Public Works, summary request. Staff is asking permission to enter into a 1-year contractual agreement with Jason Gorski of J Boards at Pure Marquette Beach and Harbortown Beach, located within the City of Muskegon, for stand-up paddleboard rentals and lessons. Staff recommendation, authorize DPW staff to enter into a concession agreement with Jason Gorski of J Boards. Bella Dog concession contract for City of Muskegon Parks, Public Works, summary request. Staff is asking permission to enter into a 1-year contractual agreement with Steve Hamstra of Bella Dog at various City of Muskegon parks and facilities located within the City of Muskegon to sell hot dogs and other minor snacks from a mobile cart. Staff recommendation, authorize DPW to enter into a concession agreement with Steve Hamstra of Bella Dog. Beverage vending contract for parks and marina facilities, Public Works. Summary request. Authorize staff to enter into a 3-year contractual agreement with Pepsi Beverage Company to provide vending services throughout the City of Muskegon and marina facilities. Staff recommendation, approve contract and authorize staff to enter into a 3-year agreement with Pepsi Beverage Company. Environmental Program Terrace Cleanup Contract, Planning Economic Development. Summary request. The contract for terrace cleanup of public and private properties previously held by Big Sky Field Services Incorporated had expired on March 31st of 2013. A request for bids was advertised and 6 companies placed bids. Pit Crew of Grant, Michigan is the low bidder for a 2-year agreement. Staff recommendation to approve a 2-year contract with Pit Crew and to authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign the agreements for the terrace cleanup on properties located within the city. Approval of building contract for 1500 Leahy Community Neighborhood Services. Summary request. To award the building contract for the rehabilitation of 1500 Leahy to J.D. Fisher Builders for the City of Muskegon's Neighborhood Stabilization Program through CNS. CNS received 1 bid for the amount of $82,400. The bid has been reviewed by our spec writer and certified as reasonable due to the unique characteristics of the structure. Staff recommendation to award J.D. Fisher Builders the rehabilitation contract for 1500 Leahy for the Community and Neighborhood Services Office. Citizens District Council, City Clerk, summary request. To eliminate the position of 2 representatives from the CDBG target area of the CDC since there is no longer a target neighborhood area. Staff recommendation, approval. Committee recommendation. The Community Relations Committee recommended approval. Aggregates, highway maintenance, materials, and concrete, Public Works. Summary request. Award bid to supply H132FA limestone chip blend to Verplank Trucking Company. Award bid to supply road slag to Verplank Trucking Company. Award bid to supply Silvax patching material to Asphalt Paving. Award bid for crack sealant to Surface Coatings Company. Award bid to supply bituminous asphalt product to Asphalt Paving. Award bid to supply AE90 asphalt emulsions to Asphalt Materials. Award bid to supply screen top soil to Verplank Company. Award bid to supply 2NS sand to Yellow Rose Transport. Award bid to supply 7-sack mixed concrete to Port City Ready Mix. Award supply of calcium chloride 38% road brine and 32% winter salting to Great Lakes Chloride. Staff recommendation, approval of bids as outlined in summary request. Grant application submittal for Ottawa Street Bridge, Public Works. Summary request. Authorize HRC engineering firm to submit a grant application on behalf of the city seeking grant funds to rehabilitate, replace the Ottawa Street Bridge in 2016. Staff recommendation, authorize HRC to submit the application at no cost to the city. Approval of the use and maintenance of city-owned property at 298 Allen Avenue, Planning Economic Development. Summary request. To authorize to approve the use and maintenance of the city-owned property located at 298 Allen Avenue for a community garden. The property is buildable and the city would retain the right to sell the property with the community garden members having time to remove the garden prior to any sales. Staff recommendation to approve the resolution and maintenance agreement. Durapatcher, Public Works. Summary request. Authorize staff to purchase 1 new Durapatcher trailer mounted patcher and 6,000-gallon emulsion tank from Alta Equipment Company, the lowest responsible bidder. This machine will mix hot tar and stone together as you fill a pothole for a much more durable and long-lasting patch. Staff recommendation, authorize staff to purchase a new Durapatcher machine and tank from Alta Equipment Company. Plow trucks, Public Works. Summary request. Authorize staff to purchase 2 new International cab and chassis trucks. These trucks will replace current fleet trucks that are approximately 25 years old, unit numbers 40621 and 40622. Staff recommendation, authorize staff to purchase 2 cab chassis from West Michigan International Trucks.
That was a lot. Commissioners, you've heard the consent agreement. Are there any other issues you would like removed for further consideration or discussion?
I have some questions on B, C, and D. I would like to exclude those.
B, C,
And D.
and D. Okay. I'm open for a motion.
I move that we accept the consent agenda with the exclusions of B, C, and D.
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Turnquist, seconded by Commissioner Wieringo to approve the consent agenda as read minus items B, C, and D. Any discussion? If not, the vote, please.
Commissioner Hood,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Spataro,
Yes.
Commissioner German,
Yes.
Commissioner Waringo?
Yes.
Commissioner Turnquist?
Yes.
Commissioner Markowski?
Yes.
Mayor Gowron?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Did you make a motion to accept all three in total? Okay. Well, you can either handle these individually or accept them all in total if you want to before the discussion.
I think they're all going to be approved, so you want a motion from?
From you for B, C, and D.
I would move that we approve J-Board's concession contract, the Bella Dog concession contract, and the beverage vending contract as presented.
Second.
It has been moved by Commissioner Turnquist, seconded by Vice Mayor Spataro to approve the J-Board's concession contract, the Bella Dog concession contract, and the beverage vending contract for the Parks and Marina facilities. Commissioner?
The J-Boards, is that a new business for us down there in the beach?
I believe so, yes, sir.
And my question that bothers me a little bit, and maybe it's fine, but he defines the area anywhere from the channel down to the dog beach. And that's a pretty big storefront. I would guess that the gentleman who must be here he'll move where the people are, and is that something that we want?
Well, are you asking me if that's what we
Well,
want?
that's my
Or asking-
question.
Yes,
Whoever-
I'm going to try to stay at 1.
Could we have you come up to the podium and give your name and address, and then not a problem.
My name is Jason Gorski, and I'm at 18702 Aztec, and I'm in Spring Lake. And what was your question?
Well, you define your storefront or area that you might merchandise you're gonna have lessons and the
Yes.
J-Boards available, but anywhere from the channel all the way down to the dog beach, which is a big, big area that you can ramble.
Yes. I'm going to try to stay in between the pier heads only because it's shallower and it's easier for people to go and less damage, I think. But you're right, where the people are, I may have to travel down a little bit further and just seeking permission, I guess.
And how much room would you be using? How many boards would you have?
I have 6 boards. The trailer's real small. I was considering pulling it with my motorcycle, actually, just to keep that part of it down. I may have to use my truck pulling it, but I would maybe try to only take up 1 space if I can.
Okay. Any other
I'm trying to
questions?
limit it. I don't need, garbage. I'm trying to limit everything. If I do anything, I might put a sign out front, and when I leave, I take everything with me. Nothing stays.
Well, we would certainly want activity down there, so
Okay.
we hope it works for you.
All right, thank
You
you.
might even get Commissioner Turnquist on a board.
I have the right
Board's
one
not
for
big
him,
enough.
for sure.
Commissioner Markowski?
Yeah, I just have another question for you. I had the opportunity to try stand-up paddleboarding last summer, so I'm excited to see some new things come to our area. But I do want to know if you're going to require that all of the people you are giving lessons to will be wearing life jackets.
I hand out life jackets with all of them. The board is actually tied to your foot on your ankle. Well, mine will be with a Velcro, which they can't take off. So if they weren't wearing their vest and they fell in, they could actually pull the board to them, which is, the cord is only as long as the board. It won't go any further, so.
Okay. And then the other question would be, you said you plan to have 6 boards at a time. So will you be doing this in a group, or will people be allowed to rent
Hourly
a board
rental,
and
possibly.
go as far as they can get with it? Or do you give them a designated area to use the board?
Well, I'm going to try to keep them in the pier heads, but if I'm on the outside, I can't, most people stay inside. They don't go out further than, over their head, like as far as the elbow goes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you're familiar with Pier Marquette.
You just mentioned going down closer to the dog beach, though, and that area is it's open and doesn't have those parameters. So
Right.
I wasn't sure if you had some type of.
I don't
Something
really
kind of
have
put
a
in the water.
parameter set for them, but, so I'm not sure. I'm kind of flying by the seat of my pants as that part goes, I guess.
One more,
Life jackets
you'll
is
be
important, too.
operating at one spot at a time. You're not going to have assistance?
Exactly.
Okay.
Right.
Any other questions?
One.
Commissioner.
Would there be like qualified lifeguards or anything out there also?
I don't think there are lifeguards at the beach, I don't think. They
You don't
will
have
have,
any?
We don't. We have not.
but they will have life vests provided for them, and
Okay.
like I said, the board will be attached to their leg.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Well, good luck.
Thank you.
Well, we did a motion in total, so.
We
We
did
have
it
to
as a
vote in
group,
total.
so we can.
Okay. Item C.
That's the Bella Dogs, and that's the same gentleman that had the service last year. At that time, if I can remember from a year ago, not the same person.
I was trying to keep track of it, I guess. Do you want to move? Is that okay?
Okay, my question again, and I think we did it last year, I'm sure with that, we did it yesterday. We already have a concession stand at the beach, at the center of the beach, and at that time, we had asked them to stay 500 feet away from there. Everything else was fair and open, but not to be parked right outside. We could have a gasoline war and hot dogs.
Without a doubt.
So that's the only point that I wanted to make on that.
I believe that's in your ordinances, that we stay 500 feet apart.
Okay, I know we put it in for last year, but I just want to make sure that we put it in
We put it
again.
in the agreement last year. And we will follow.
Right.
Thank you.
And from the vendor, could I just get your name and address just for the record?
Steve Hamstra, 1230 Aberdeen Street, Northeast, Grand Rapids.
Very good. Any other questions for Mr. Hamstra? If not, I'll be down for a red hot.
Perfect.
Okay, good luck.
Thank you.
Item D, Commissioner?
And my last question, we had to go back to these 4 vendors and ask them to submit proposals. And Pepsi did respond, and they have presented their proposal. Who have we had prior to this one?
Last one was with Dr. Pepper,
Dr. Pepper.
and before
And
we had
the other 3, and there was one that was mentioned, they're not interested.
They're not interested. We made the actual contacts with them, as you can see. In the
How long was the Dr. Pepper contract? What, a year at a time?
I think it was for 3 years, if I
3
remember
years?
correctly.
You're comfortable with a 3-year contract?
Absolutely. I mean, that's the best we could do for right now, instead of leaving it bare, if you will, or without any vendors, or without any vending machines out there.
That was my question on the length of the contract. And okay.
Okay. Any other questions from the commission? If not, the vote, please.
Vice Mayor Spataro?
Yes.
Commissioner German?
Yes.
Commissioner Waringo? Yes. Commissioner Turnquist?
Yes.
Commissioner Markowski?
Yes.
Mayor Galvin?
Yes.
Commissioner Hood?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. That brings us to new business.
Concurrence with the Housing Board of Appeals notice in order to demolish the following: public safety, 1776th Street, 1597 Park Street, 1691 Smith Street, Area 13, 1170 Allen Avenue, garage only. Summer of request. This is to request that the City Commission concur with the findings of the Housing Board of Appeals that the structures are unsafe, substandard, a public nuisance, and that they be demolished within 30 days. It is further requested that administration be directed to obtain bids for the demolition of the structures, and that the mayor and city clerk be authorized and directed to execute a contract for demolition with the lowest responsible bidder. Staff recommendation to concur with the Housing Board of Appeals decision to demolish.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience here to speak on any one of these properties? Now I'll take a motion. Vice Mayor Spataro.
Thank you. I would move that we concur with the Housing Board Appeals Notice in order to demolish 1776th Street, 1597 Park Street, 1691 Smith Street, and 1170 Allen Avenue garage only.
Second.
Who wants it?
Oh.
It's been moved by Vice Mayor Spataro, seconded by Commissioner German to concur with the Housing Board of Appeals notice in order to demolish 1776th Street, 1597 Park Street, 1691 Smith Street, Area 13, and 1170 Allen Avenue garage only. Is there any discussion? Vice Mayor?
Just one item. When people wonder why we have to do these things, we, as you look through the material, and I have to drive by this every day, unfortunately, but instead of voting to demolish a structure, we allowed, or the Housing Board of Appeals allowed the property owner to demolish it themselves. And last fall, this is at the corner of 6th and Laketon, they took part of the building down and left a pile and the rest of the building. And there it's been since, so it's been over 6 months. So, you know, it really creates a blight in an area when you have buildings in that condition, regardless of the neighborhood, so. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Anything else?
Just one question, Mr. Mayor. On 1170 Allen Avenue, it's just doing the garage. Does that still mean there's a resident in that house?
I don't know that one.
I don't know if it's occupied or not.
1170,
Yes.
Yes, sir, Chief.
I have to review the file, but, you know, that would indicate that there probably is either some type of tenant or resident, or the owner is still active in the house, but just the external building would be demolished. I have to review the file to see what they've contacted.
And that will be at the city's expense then to take it down? Or will there be a lien on the property if there's?
Yes, there will be a lien.
There'll be a lien.
They will be assessed.
Yeah.
Anything else? If not, the vote, please.
Commissioner German,
Yes.
Commissioner Waringo,
Yes.
Commissioner Turnquist,
Yes.
Commissioner Markowski,
Yes.
Mayor Gilman.
Yes.
Commissioner Hood,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Spataro.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Is there any other business to be brought by the commission? Commissioner Markowski?
I just have a general question for Mr. Mohammed, because I like to bother him. I've been doing some surveying of the general Ryerson Creek area, and I would like to know what experience DPW has been having with preventing dump sites. I've been running into a lot of them. In any space where you can essentially drive up your vehicle to a drop-off, residents are using that as a spot to dump garbage and tires. And I think we can really come up with some alternate ways to get people to rethink that decision. So I'd just like to know what we've done recently, and if not, I think we need to come up with some solutions.
I guess it's funny you mentioned that, because I just left the engineering office before I walked down here, and we were awarded, we were given by some conservation area that we were taking care of Rudderman Creek, so it was
this is Ryerson. I
glad,
can walk
so
Rudderman,
I
but-
should have brought it down with me.
There are tires in Redmond too.
Our help, I mean, we help, we assisted Mrs. Evans, for example, in cleaning up, and we provided the help along the shoreline, the Muskegon shoreline area. We've helped them just about every single year. We've been offering trucks and manpower and equipment. As far as dumping and some illegal sites, I think that's Mrs. Clark's area. And what we have done in some areas, we've put some cameras, if you will, and we've issued citations, and we cleaned it up as well.
Okay, I just, personally, I think we need to review what we're doing, because there are definitely some spaces that we're not being effective. And I do think I've attempted to make a little bit of contact in the department, so hopefully you guys will follow up with me on that, and I'm willing to help, but I think there's a lot that we can do to get people to realize there are alternative options than dumping their garbage, and also to make those spaces something that's more inviting and not an afterthought that people think that they can dump things they're not using in. So just wanted to bring that up.
Forgive me, did you have specific locations?
Oh,
Did
yeah,
you mention it? And
I got
wasn't-
a map.
Would you share those with me
Sure.
at some point? Please.
One more. Excuse me, Mr. Mohammed, excuse me. I don't know if you noticed, but it was brought to my attention, and I did go and look at this certain intersection on the corner of Apple Avenue and Wood Street. There's a bunch of potholes there, and I just wanted to make sure.
We're aware of it.
Oh, you're
We're
already
gonna
on
take
top
care
of
of it as soon as the hot mix plant open up. We're gonna take care of it. You're talking on the north side.
Exactly.
Yes, we're
Exactly.
aware of it. What we've been doing is we're dumping some cold patch, and obviously it's not holding up. So we're gonna do a big wide patch as soon as the hot mix asphalt plants open up.
Okay. Yeah, I noticed that, and I noticed the feeling there, so I
Yeah,
kind
we're
of figured
gonna
you
take
was
care
on
of
top
it,
of
sir.
things. I really appreciate that.
No
Thank you.
problem.
He's always on top of it.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like the streets have exploded in the last couple of weeks. There's a couple spots that have just kind of.
Thank you.
It has, it's horrible. Vice Mayor?
It has been a very rough spring for streets, and a lot of the main streets are fairly obvious, but I just wanted to point out, now that we've got the materials to do the repairs, that there's a particularly bad stretch on Fifth Street between Laketon and Dale, so hopefully that's on your list as well. I mean, it's.
Actually, that street has been on our list for a long time. That street is,
Those
we've had
two
that
blocks
street-
are as bad as
yeah,
anything
We've had
anywhere.
that street I know about that
Okay,
street.
all right.
And as
Thanks.
long as
I
you're
figured-
creating lists, but there's repaving projects
Palmer
coming up.
Street is not on
Palmer?
that list.
No, never, ever?
Ever.
Okay. Ever.
Go ahead, he's first, I think.
Okay,
Commissioner Hood?
Well, since we named the street, I had a complaint at New in Evanston. I'm quite sure you.
I didn't say I was taking names, though.
And my other thing is, traffic control light at Sanford and Layton.
Yeah.
Okay, as you come out the credit union and you look to your left, and I know it's a one way, but you look to the left, you see sometimes that traffic light is on.
Yeah.
And so that would make a person think they can turn left on that one-way street if they're not familiar with the area.
Signage.
And they
Now,
do.
You see a lot of people turn left right there. And
will.
I'm just wondering, why would that?
We should not have, it shouldn't be.
There's
If you're
lights.
going if you were going against traffic,
Right.
you shouldn't have any green
Headed
light. I will
north.
take care of that. I guess, obviously, I'm not on top of everything, but we'll take care of that.
But mostly. But
One out of three is not good.
And
Thank you.
remember, when you see these things,
Do you mind if I,
iPads, computers, let them know.
do you mind if I ask a question for clarification, though? Did you say New Street and?
New in Evanston. It's on the, I know that's like
Oh,
township and.
I know
city, but
which one you're talking.
I know you
New
know.
Street is, what I had, I guess if you don't mind me sharing this with you, I had, because the street falls within the city of Muskegon, New Street itself falls within the city of Muskegon jurisdiction, it's a local street. I had been approached before by the township to see if we can do a joint venture. I had sent them an email to the Public Works Director out there, I want to say last week, asking if they still want to do that as a joint venture. The response came back, since it's a city street, they're not willing to invest in it, so they don't want to participate in that cost. And on the east side of the street, as you know, the township is the west side, the city of Muskegon. And we can do very little, and we've done a lot of patching out
I was
there,
gonna
and it's
say
just
that.
not
I know
working
that,
out.
He's had that it's been patched over. right
We've done
that
tons,
corner,
and,
but-
I mean, the highway guys are complaining about it, but I'm sorry, I guess.
But you're on top of it. Yeah.
Maybe just so we don't continually give you street corners, if you do have a most updated list of your priority streets, I think maybe that would help alleviate some of our residents wanting to know which streets are next. So if you're able to share that, that would be helpful. And there are some pedestrian controls on Apple Avenue near Terrace. The buttons that you push when you are wanting to cross the street, so it gives you the pedestrian sign, that don't seem to be working. I don't know if they're so new that we don't have them on, or if they're just not on.
They're
They
broken.
they should be working, on Apple and which
Yeah,
one?
several along Apple Avenue. There's a couple corners there,
I
and they're not
reported
on.
that yesterday.
Okay,
Okay,
just want to make sure.
I'll take care of it.
Pat gave you that.
Uh, Just if I may go back for a second about the list of streets, the priorities, we're gonna submit the budget soon, so that's, I mean, it's gonna depend on what you guys approve, if you will, and that would be the top priority. The ones that we have right now on the budget are Wickham, Clay, Laketon Avenue, Wood to Laketon, Sherman Boulevard from Estes to Glenside. Those are the ones that we're doing right now, or we're working on.
I think what I meant was more along the lines of patching. I don't know if you have a certain route you use, or if you know, if you start at one end of the city and you move to another, or if that's just kind of haphazard.
Unfortunately, we don't. We try to focus on the Sherman Boulevard, the Laketon Avenue, the Henry Street, the Getty Street, the Wood Street, the major streets, and try to take those. And we're not able, as Mrs. Spataro had mentioned, we're not able to keep up with them. You know, you fix it today, and with those cold patches, it's just not holding up as much as it should.
So we need new and better materials.
But that'll change. That'll change.
I'm hoping.
A lot of the major projects, of course, come from different pools of money, which are restricted, as opposed to allowing us to do our local streets where we're not getting the resources from Lansing. And the big projects that we're doing come out of a different pool, and they're dictated to us and the type of street.
Unless you're willing to contribute toward the special assessment like the Harbor Town people did.
Right.
If you recall, the Harbor
could
Town
bring-
residents paid 20% toward the construction, which I think worked for both
Right.
parties.
Okay.
Thank you.
Did I mention Palmer Abbott?
I didn't
Never
hear
mind,
it if you
okay.
did.
Not going to happen.
Yes. Any other business? Bonnie, I could use the help here. Any other business from the commission? If not, we'll go to public input. Mr. Page.
No, there's a raft of people turning in their applications.
Hello, Larry Page, 3328 Wilcox Avenue. A couple of months ago, on a motion by the mayor, I believe, the city staff was commissioned, or a request was made from the city staff to look into potential rezoning of the Melching property to come up with what the city staff would consider an appropriate zoning of the rezoning of that property. And I haven't heard anything as a result of that, and I'm just here tonight to follow up on that, to see if staff has made any recommendation. Right?
We have not.
Okay. Just a follow-up on that, let me suggest that rather than the city commission waiting for the staff to make a recommendation on that, it might be good for the city commission to make their own recommendation to the staff. You're the body of the city that makes, that set the legislative body. I'd like to hear from the city commission, the members of the commission, as to what you think should be done with that meeting, with that property. I haven't heard that very much. I have heard Commissioner Spataro's views on that, very eloquently put, by the way, on a Facebook publication. I've heard Ms. Markowski's views on that a little bit, but the rest of the commissions, I really haven't heard what your feelings are on that. And with the upcoming elections for a couple of city commissioners at large and the city mayor, I would expect that the citizens of the city might also be interested to hear, especially from those people, given the upcoming elections, what your thoughts might be on that. So just a suggestion, but if you could do that, I think that might be helpful to light a fire under this whole issue and bring this issue to some hopefully earlier rather than later resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Page. Personally, at this juncture, as the city staff was directed, I'm quite satisfied that they will do their due diligence and use their expertise to come up with excellent recommendations. That doesn't mean that I won't put in my 2 cents, but we do rely on the expertise of the city staff, and they are charged with coming up with new and creative ideas, and they did want to take the time that was needed to come up with something valuable and viable. But your point's well taken. Thank you, Mr. Page. Anna Eldenbrady.
Hello, Anna Eldenbrady of 1336 Spring Street. And Mr. Turnquist, would you mind passing those?
Not at all.
Thank you. My concern here tonight is the condition of our cemeteries. And it may seem like an odd thing coming just from a citizen walking up here talking about cemeteries, but I actually spend quite a lot of time in them. Part because I grew up less than 1 mile from one of the oldest cemeteries in Ingham County, with its first interment in 1838. And so I grew up with a great appreciation for not only the architecture of them and the layout, but their histories and what types of cemeteries are out there. And we actually have a very nice example of a garden cemetery. It's also called a rural cemetery in the city in Evergreen, Oakwood being a slightly later version of it. But these cemeteries were formed starting by Dr. Jacob Bigelow's foundation of Mount Auburn in 1831 to create an area which you would want to go to visit your dead. It was supposed to be a very nice, lovely place, bringing the rural to the city kind of attitude. And I've noticed that ours are falling into a bit of disrepair, which disappoints me because, again, I'm quite fond of this type of cemetery. One issue that we're having is vandalism, and the first paper that's going around has 3 photographs on it of stones that have been knocked over. Those are in Oakwood. There are also some in Evergreen that I didn't get a chance to take pictures of because it was raining today. And there's also some vandalism in the form of spray paint on the back of a large stone in Oakwood that has been there now for about a year. I reported it to the city and nothing has happened yet. I called it in, I actually talked to a person, and nothing has progressed on that. And I'm a bit disappointed in that because it's not that difficult to remove spray paint from a stone. There are solvents that will do it, given that you know what type of stone you're dealing with. I don't, I can't go out there and scrub it off. So that's something that I would like to see happen sooner rather than later, preferably. But not all the problems out there are from vandalism. The next pictures in the set are ones that are, I believe, made by maintenance vehicles. There's a stone there that you see that the first name on it is Anya, and Anya's husband's stone is actually behind hers. It has been shoved up and off of its pedestal, and it appears to have been pushed there during snow clearing. It's near an intersection of paths where the snowplow would have actually pushed the stone up, or the snow up, the stone would have been caught in it and would have been shoved off of its pedestal. There's another one in your packet there that looks like it has had a snowplow blade dragged across the front of it as they were attempting to edge the path. And that's just simply not acceptable. A set stone can be reset with difficulty, but it can be done. But one that has a gouge across the front really just has to be completely replaced in order to look presentable. And there's another in the packet there, a photograph of a stone that has been rotated off of its base. And where it is where you would turn a corner when turning with mowing equipment. And that happened last summer, and it's still sitting rotated off of its base. And that one, again, it's been there for a while. And that one's in Evergreen. And the other 2 are in Oakwood. Another thing I've noticed in Evergreen is there's an obelisk that is 1 block south of Hackley. It is a fairly tall monument, I believe about 8 feet tall. Not the Stevens Monument, which is significantly taller, but back right behind Hackley's. That has been knocked off its base. And this one is really confusing to me because it isn't just one that's been shoved over. There's about an 8-inch gouge off the corner of the stone that looks like it's been probably hit by a truck. The problem is the stone is set inward on the block, which means someone had to have been driving in there, missed the first stones on the edge on that path, and it's not a paved path, it's a grass path, and somehow hit that stone and then gone back on the path and not hit anything else in front of it. So I'm not sure if that was done by someone in there after hours being stupid, if it was done by someone doing maintenance who wasn't watching where they were going or whatnot, but that's a concern because that's a fairly old stone as well. And again, we're looking at people's graves here. And I'm very fond of the history of these things, and I don't want to be losing more stones in that cemetery because we're noticing them getting damaged, and little by little they're disappearing. We already have approximately, I think it's between 1/4 and half of the stones missing out of that cemetery, just due to age, decay, etc. The Balbernie stones were shattered by a falling tree branch last year. Nothing's been done about that. The tree branch was cut up. These stones were left in pieces. I believe the middle one is actually Mayor James Balbernie, who was assassinated, and his stone is about to the point where even the base underneath it is cracked. It's not going to be there for much longer. The doors of Hackley's mausoleum went missing last summer at some point. When I called the city to ask about that, I was told we know. Okay, glad to know you know, but that's not doing anything to actually fix that, and given that Hackley is kind of a prominent figure in this city, and definitely in that cemetery, it's a problem. And it's something that really saddens me. The cemetery I grew up with, an Eagle Scout actually took it under his project to go through and restore as much as he could of that cemetery and document it. But this one, we don't have that, and it's a lot bigger, and there's a lot of funding that would be involved in taking care of it. And if we can seek out grants, I'd really appreciate it. If we can have public awareness of what's going on, I would appreciate it. And if we could get just more eyes on the scene to make sure this isn't happening, again, I'd really love that. So thank you very much, all of you, for listening and taking the time to listen up on this issue, and hopefully we can get something moving. So cheers.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing that to us. This must be a relative, Joshua Eldon Brady. Evening, Joshua.
Good evening. Sorry for the moment's delay. Joshua Eldon Brady, 1336 Spring Street. Trying to figure out how to say what I want to say, kind of in a roundabout. About a year before my wife and I moved to Muskegon, we had the unfortunate occurrence of watching a friend and neighbor of ours heirloom garden bulldozed by the city government. Not here. That was in Albion. Want to clarify that. So it was very encouraging to us and appealing to see that Muskegon had taken the step of officially recognizing gardening and community gardening in our zoning ordinances. And watching over the last few years as the Healthy Muskegon Project came up and has emphasized in its grant funding, I believe 2 or 3 of its major grant recipients were dedicated to locally grown, locally sold, locally marketed, and increasing production. And of course, this year, the discussion about and the commitment to having a healthy farmers market. But in all of that discussion, the one thing that really bothered me was the statement by the vice mayor that our market's not intended to be a community or city market, it's intended to be a regional market. And I don't say that bothered me because I have any problem with regional markets. You know, make produce available wherever you can make it available. But I believe the primary purpose of the city government should be to serve the residents of the city, not the residents of the surrounding area. And one of the things that we decided to look into, my wife and I, after that statement and after all the disagreement from some of our residents about the loss of what they perceived as a community market, was to try to open a community market. And towards that end, at the beginning of this month, we submitted a business registration application to the city, both towards a community market and towards getting eventually insurance to be able to sell at the city market as well as at our own. And in a series of discussions between myself and the zoning administrator over the last several weeks, I got a couple of statements that are very, very troubling to me. The first statement was that farm markets are not allowed in any neighborhood business zoning district in the city. So apparently not only is the city market not supposed to serve the neighborhoods, but no one else is allowed to either. And the second one, which was even more problematic, was the blanket statement that growing produce for sale is illegal under our zoning anywhere in the city of Muskegon. Which really leads me to wonder, all of this fundraising that's been done, the grants for Healthy Muskegon, the other fundraising that's been done for Buy Local, Sell Local, if we're not allowed to be part of Sell Local, well, Muskegon Sell Local isn't Muskegon. It's everything but Muskegon Sell Local. And it bothers me on the second front because of what I'm seeing that means about the farmers market. We're talking about dedicating the city to future maintenance of a market, and we're talking about carving a hole out of the taxable value of our downtown. And now that the city has stated that that market's not intended to serve primarily the people of the city, and that market is not allowed to serve as vendors any of the people of the city, why are we endorsing that? Thank you.
Thank you, Joshua. Commissioner Nash. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. How's everyone doing today? Smile, I don't have any major issues. I come today.
We do need your name and address just for the record, Commissioner.
Charles Nash, City of Muskegon, 819 Amity. And greetings, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, to our City Clerk, City Manager, and Chief of Police. What I wanted to do today is, one, be obedient to my County Clerk. I want to pass those out.
Thank you.
What you'll find there is new directories for the current commission, and I think I have enough for everyone.
One more. Oh, okay, all right, thank you.
What we want to do is make sure that we always communicate with the city. I know sometimes people talk about this disconnect that we have, and so we make sure that we bring you these directories so that you have all the information you need from the county. You also have phone numbers, direct connection, and I know we want to also continue to build more and more communication as time goes on, and I know we've been working in those directions, especially in more collaboration. But I know our clerk, Nancy Waters, spends a lot of time, a lot of effort into making sure she's got these books together, accurate detail and information on it, so that not only you as commissioners, but anyone, I'll tell the citizens those books are available to anyone. So if anybody would like those books, you can get those from the county clerk. And that shares all the information so you can easily contact anyone regarding any issues. So I want to make sure that we got this down here to you all, and everyone is happy, and make sure that you know our doors and is always open for communication. So, and I just want to add one little issue. I was glad that Ms. Markowitz brought something up regarding the dumping. So I definitely want to respectfully talk with my commissioner, because we have some areas in our area that I think have been completely neglected. And I can stand on some bridges and look down some cliffs, and you can see enough tires to start a used tire shop. So we want to definitely try to find a way to alleviate some of those things that are going on in the city.
Can I jump in there? Just so you know, I have been in contact with the Drain Commission, and they've been very cooperative in helping us with that. So as you know, the city, we do need help from the county in a lot of those areas as far as getting into county drains that are within our borders, and just working in collaboration on some of the cleanups that Mohammed was referencing. So as long as we're all able to put in a little bit of time and sometimes manpower or money, we get a lot more done.
Yes, yes. And I would say our drain commissioner, it's just gone through some, he's had a personal, he's had some, I believe he just had surgery also. Yeah. So, he's more than capable of collaborating, and I think we've, probably had one of the best drain commissioners in the county working for us now, and he's been doing a magnificent job. We just got a report from him that showed a lot of the cleanup that has been done, and there has been a lot of things that were probably not done as they should have been in sometimes past, but that report helped a lot. It opened a lot of commissioners' eyes, and we want to keep our eyes open and keep moving forward and try to make sure those things are happening and even better down the road. So, but anyway, thank you for this time.
Commissioner.
Appreciate everything.
You bet. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other members of the community that would like to, ma'am? Would you like to address the commission?
You called him a
Little personal business there. On a happier note.
We just need your name and address, ma'am.
Oh, Chris Jensen, 1873 Letart, Muskegon, Michigan, 49441. I live in Lakeside. I don't live in Beechwood Bluffton anymore. Although I'm still on the board, I'm grandmothered in. I just think it's awesome. I've been working with the city for 30 years now, and you still carry on the Outstanding Citizen of the Year. I got mine like 20 years ago, and I think it's just awesome that you guys respect these guys. That's not the right word. Recognize.
Both.
You want to get up and talk? I think it's just awesome that you guys recognize these people. Bonnie has worked so hard. I've worked so hard. This city is my life, my home. And I think it's important that we all carry it on.
Agreed, Chris.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. No, thank you. And I don't know some of you guys. I don't know Leah. I don't know Willie. Certainly I know Brian. I've known Steve for years. He always hugs me. John Schreier I've known for years. Steve Wieringo, Sue Wieringo. I don't think you I've ever met before.
Well,
I certainly know you.
stick around and meet him afterwards, Chris.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyway, thank you very much. I think it's really important that we carry on this award.
Thanks, Chris. Is there any other member of the public that would like to address the commission? Just take the podium. We just need your name and address, and all citizens are held to 3 minutes.
Okay. Mary Bird, 3028 Walks in Muskegon Heights. I'm actually here to represent Comfort in Muskegon.
Okay.
Regarding a water bill issue. I spoke with Kenneth in the water department, so I'm not quite sure why he felt I should come here to speak, but I sort of inherited a problem. I'm the new GM of Comfort in Muskegon, and I've reconciled our bills. I currently have our last bill check here. All payments are made. Apparently, I guess the old GM, I guess every, I don't know if it's 5 days or 6 days, you send out a penalty. 10% is what it looked like. This penalty is ginormous. So I spoke with Kenneth to see how can I basically reconcile this, not at this amount, but tried to see how I could possibly work with the city. He felt that I probably should come and speak with the council. I'm not sure how, why, how you guys could actually assist me.
Yes, you can. Okay.
Are you Kenneth?
Yes,
Oh, hi, Kenneth. Yes, nice to meet you.
We're going to get some update from staff.
Yeah, Ken's here and can address the details, and the reason why Ken indicated to the lady that she should come to the city commission if she wanted some relief was because the city commission would have to be the ones to provide any relief or any waiver of those fees and charges. But Ken can give you the details on how we got to where we are. So if you would, Ken.
Yes.
Okay.
I talked to Mary and I talked to Sam. I don't know his last name, but I talked to him last week a couple times, and this started because we sent out shut-off notice of commercial accounts, and they received Comfort Inn received. They're in the Fruitport side of the city, so we only service them for sewer. So. So they received a shut-off notice for almost $6,000. And the reason why the bill is so high, they're not paying their bills on time. We send out bills once a month. If the bill's not paid, it's assessed a 10% penalty. And this has been going on since I went back to December 2009, and they've been incurring an average amount, let's say $175 in penalties per month, and they haven't paid them. And sometimes the treasurer and I give a one-time courtesy penalty waiver because we understand mails and things that is delayed, things like that. And we did a one-time waiver back in 2010, March of 2010. Since then, they have been accumulating almost, since December 2009, they accumulated $4,207.11 in penalties. And so every month, they're paying their bills, but they're paying them late every month. So, once a month. We send out bills once a month.
And as you said, Ken, they're being paid, but they're being paid late, and every one of them's being paid late. So the fee that Ken's talking about is an accumulation over time. There isn't fees charged on top of those fees, but it's the accumulation of those penalties.
So it's the same penalty that I pay when I'm late on my water bill and.
Yep, every business and resident
Right.
is assessed a 10% penalty on their current bill every month.
And I admit that sometimes I'm late and I pay my penalty.
Yes. And that's something we've been doing. We've been aggressive with this for about 2 or 3 years. We've been running the penalties every month, the same time. If it's due on the 10th, we run a penalty on the 11th. So it's nothing new. It's just something we do for all businesses and residential accounts.
Right. Okay, and you did give a waiver?
We did a waiver, yes, we did a one-time waiver. I documented that back on March 3rd, 2010. And so.
So they were well aware of the fact that these penalties need to be paid, and they basically have ignored them?
That's my opinion, yes.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Commissioner?
So when she pays her bill, the amount that she's paying is only taking care of, if it's that large, is only taking care of the penalty fees.
It's only taking care of, well.
So the water bill itself keeps getting.
No,
No.
they're
paying the sewer.
They're paying the sewer bill.
But not paying their penalty fees.
But they're not paying it on time. So if for example, $2,000 bill, I send out a $2,000 bill due on the 10th. If they don't pay it by the 10th, they're going to get a $200 penalty on that account. And most of the time, we're receiving these payments 5 to 6, 7 days after the due date. So they're always getting hit with that penalty every month. And I asked the owner, why can't he pay it on time? And he said he has other things and obligations and things like that. So, but that's his choice. And we have businesses and residents that choose to pay the penalty, or they pay the bills and they know they're going to get hit with the penalty.
Vice Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think in a situation like this, before we would take any action, or before I'd be comfortable taking any action, I'd like to see some sort of plan worked out, if practical, and some demonstration that the bills will be paid on time, and that, the fee, if I'm late on the phone bill, I'm gonna pay a penalty. And if I choose not to pay the penalty when the next bill comes in, then that accumulates, and they do charge me interest. So, here there's not an interest being charged, and so I'm a little concerned that the normal staff allowed waiver's been done, and yet they're still coming in late. And so I would want to see a plan in place where there's evidence that the bills are going to be paid in a timely way, that money's going to be paid toward the interest and penalties, and that there's a demonstration of that before I would consider doing anything here that we would have not done for anybody else. There's a lot of folks who are late and end up having to pay a penalty, including myself from once in a while.
Commissioner Markowski?
Well, the question I have is regarding the billing process. So for instance, you were talking about utilities in general. If you have an electric bill and you don't pay 1 month, that is simply added onto your next bill, and you are not caught up until you've paid in full. So what I'm not understanding is, are they paying electronically or are they paying by a mailed-in check? How is it that the previous past due balance is not being added into their current due so that when they pay, even if it's a week late, they aren't taking care of the previous month's late fee?
Well, what they, on the bill, it shows how much was calculated for that month. And they're just choosing to pay the amount that's calculated for each month, but not the penalty from the previous months.
Well, the other thing I think you need to understand though is, as Ken said earlier, we are getting paid for that month. It's just a few days later. So by the time we send out the next bill, we have received the payment for that previous month. So it wouldn't show up on the next bill.
Yeah, so if I can say quickly, for instance, on bill calculated for 8/20/12 was 4503.05. The payment, or the penalty, was on 9/11 for 450.31. The payment was put in on 9/11/12. So we got a penalty for the $4,503 at $450.31. The payment was put in on the same day as the penalty was posted, I should say. This came from you guys.
And I can understand there being an issue 1 month where that doesn't catch up, but what I'm not understanding is why it isn't clear that your bill is not up to date until the total balance due is being paid. I just want to make sure that we're clear in our communication with people so that your bill is not caught up until you've paid your past due. It seems to be that the billing is showing where, it's like a minimum payment. That's not how it should show.
That's right. That amount that you're talking about, that past due amount, is just simply being ignored. It's not being paid.
So the past due amount is the penalty.
It's the penalty.
Right.
But every month when we generate a bill, it shows how much is generated for that particular month. And it's just in the calculation, it says that this month you've been charged this much for, this is,
But your total amount due at the bottom of the bill, is that including?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
so when you're looking at your bill, ma'am, from the previous month, and it shows the amount due, and it includes that penalty, why isn't the check being written to cover at least the previous, because even if you pay every month late.
I totally understand it. I've only been the GM for 3 months.
Well, so that's.
There was a
right.
different GM here, but I totally get it.
Do you understand what I'm
Yes,
saying? I'm not
I
saying
totally
that-
get it.
Right.
I mean, but there are times where the penalty was posted on one date and so was the payment. So, the check made it there, the penalty the same day, but we still get the penalty. I don't know.
And I understand that on a
understand.
1 month situation where you might say, well, this isn't being calculated in a way that we agree upon, but if you are looking at the bill from the previous month and it includes the past due amount, that check should be written for that entire amount.
No, I get it.
And so I'm just saying.
I'm standing here with a check, I get
Right.
it. I'm just saying, I inherited this, and what I was talking to Ken about is some sort of relief to help me with this, but I get it. I totally get it.
And I told her I could not.
I just want to be clear that we
Yeah,
we
he
know how
said
the
he could not
process
do
is
it
going.
and that I should come and speak with council, so.
And as I stand here, I don't think we can do that either. I mean.
I don't think we should.
And we would be relieving me if I came in and said that, Ken, I don't like that I got that $19 assessment on my bill because I was 1 day late. And they didn't get in Chicago, darn those people. But, it's clear, there's a history here. They were given a waiver several years ago. They knew better. Not you.
No, I know.
Your predecessors. But for me, it's a blatant ignoring and not communicating after those facts, so. It's just not an area where I'm wading into.
I just want to make sure that there wasn't an issue on our end of how we communicate through the billing, and as long as, she seems to agree that the person paying the bill was not misled in any way as to what the balance is.
That's not what I was
I've
saying.
never
I
been
said
misled on my
14,000
statements.
Okay.
I've never been misled, I understand it, and I'm not a general manager.
Excuse me, Ken, was there ever an agreement with the former manager or anything like that?
No,
that was broken
we did a
anything?
one-time waiver, and most of the time, they have to call to ask for that.
Okay.
And that's when we noted on the file And we put it in there that we waived it for that one time. That way we know someone explained to it, Derek or myself, usually makes those decisions. And that way we note it on the file, so in case something comes up like this, it is
Right.
noted on the file.
Okay. Has payment been paid this month also?
If we got a payment of, yeah, we got the payment.
Okay, well, that's good. Okay, that's-
I mean, we've been getting payments every
Yeah, they
month.
get
It's just-
payments every
Okay,
month.
all right,
It's just
okay,
that-
just that.
Yeah.
Just that
late
delinquency
charge,
on
right.
those
Okay.
penalties.
Yeah, and that's, like I said, I did a spreadsheet and I just went through back to, and it was $4,200 just on late penalties.
Okay.
Commissioner Hood?
Is there any type of arrangement to be made to catch up on them penalties, or is that just has to be a one-time payment?
It's up to the
There's
committee.
nothing here.
I mean, it's up to you guys to do something. We have done that. We don't do that on a normal basis. That's why we have to come here for your permission to do something like that.
Commissioner?
I mean, as far as good faith effort of, showing up and wanting to right the situation, I would be comfortable with, setting up a payment plan if that's not something we typically would do. But I think with the situation presented, I don't think that we should go back and take care of any of those fees. It's not something that we typically do for any of our residents. But we do want to encourage the business to be successful. And I think if we can offer some kind of payment plan in the short term, I would be amenable to that.
Vice Mayor?
I think that's kind of what I was saying, is that we need to refer this back to staff to see if they can work out an agreement, which would include a demonstration that the bills are being paid on time, and that if they can, that they would bring it back to us for action. In the meantime, I would assume that as an act of good faith that at least payments on the arrearage on the penalties would be paid while that negotiation took place. But I really would be uncomfortable making decisions like this on the fly without, adequate information, because this does affect a lot of users. There are some very large water users where if they're a day late with their bill, they have a substantial penalty, and I don't want to inadvertently open any doors that we're not in a position to be able to do for anybody else who comes in here with a similar situation. So, I mean, that's where I'd like us to leave it. I don't think we need to take any action. I think unless people disagree that the next step is, is to have staff work something out if possible. And if it's not, it's not.
Okay.
Yeah, we could do something like that.
All right.
I certainly agree with the commissioner that we can't waive any of past due fees.
So as it stands, you can work with Mr. Grant with the potential agreement to make good on those arrearages, and after your discussions, Mr. Grant will come back and make a recommendation to the commission.
Perfect.
Okay?
Thank you.
All right, and good luck. Are there any other members of the public that would like to address the commission? If- Okay, I do too, Chris. Commissioner Hood, you want to go home?
I move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Are you sure?
When is the next meeting, Christian?
Planning?